afternoon, everyone. My name is Raul Pașcălău. I'm the Director of International Relations in Erasmus Head of Office, and I have the honor and the pleasure to welcome you at our festive ceremony of celebrating 80 years of anniversary. Mr. Rector, Mr. Rector, Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear rectors, vice rector, professors, in fact, dear all colleagues, welcome in an international university, welcome into the University of Life Sciences King Mihai I from Timișoara, and we are very proud to have you here celebrating this occasion. We have our colleague from internationalization. We are all internationalization ambassadors. Why? Because we are all committed to the same unique goal, education and internationalization. I will give the floor to Marius Alexandru Mitroi, PhD, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Advisor from Executive Agency for Higher Education, Research, Development and Innovation Funding, alumnus of University Polytechnica from Bucharest. Mr. Marius, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marius Mitroi. I represent the Romanian Funding Agency for Higher Education, Research, Development and Innovation Funding for our Romanian colleagues who officially. And in my role, I have the privilege of working closely with academics, with researchers, with policymakers and businesses to strengthen the link between cutting-edge science and real-world impact. In the last 2 years, our agency took on a huge role in research security. And this is why we are here today. And it is a great pleasure for me to introduce our distinguished speaker, Professor Andrew James from the University of Manchester. Professor James is an internationally recognized academic, policy analyst and advisor in the field of science, innovation, technology and innovation management. His career spans over a wide range of contributions. He serves as Associate Dean for Business Engagement in the Faculty of Humanities from 2015 to 2020, and was a visiting professor at Sciences Po in Paris. He has authored and co-authored many academic publications, books, and public reports that continue to guide both scholars and practitioners. Professor James' expertise is particularly deep in areas such as corporate technology strategy, innovation management and policy, with a strong focus on aerospace, defense and security sectors. His current research addresses most of pressing issues that we have today, like the adoption of digitalization and artificial intelligence, geopolitical resilience of global supply chains, and the role of public procurement in driving innovation. He also plays an important role in shaping future leaders by directing the Master of Science in Innovation Management and Entrepreneurship and teaching across undergraduate, master's, MBA, and executive education programs. Beyond academia, he advised and worked with leading global companies, as well as major institutions, including the European Commission, European Defence Agency, and the UK and Swedish government. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to thank Emilia Peceva from the UK Embassy in Romania for making his presence here possible. Emilia's support has been instrumental to fostering the UK-Romania collaboration in research, innovation, and policy, and we are very grateful for her efforts in connecting us with Professor James. A special thanks also goes to the National Council of Rectors and to the University of Life Sciences in Timișoara for making these events possible and hosting it. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor Andrew James. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marius. I'd like to begin by congratulating you again on your anniversary. It's a huge achievement. And also thank you to the National Council of Rectors and others for the invitation to speak to you today. The topic that I'm going to talk to you about is research security. And I'm going to look at a number of key questions that I suggest that university leaders and research leaders from research institutes and other research performing organisations should be thinking about very deeply at the moment. So I'm going to begin by thinking about how the context for international research collaboration is changing, why research security should be on the agenda of universities and research institutes, the practices that are emerging in Europe, and I'm also going to spend a small amount of time reflecting on the experience of the UK and where this agenda is likely to move in the foreseeable future. So I'm sure that we're all aware that the context for international research collaboration is changing. Geopolitical differences, concerns about the conduct of research in international research collaboration, concerns about economic espionage and leakage of intellectual property are increasingly coming to the forefront when governments and others think about international research collaboration. And at the same time, there's a growing awareness amongst some universities, some research institutes and governments about the importance of effective research security policies and processes in collaborations with foreign scientists and entities. And I should also say at this point that nobody has all the answers. I am not for one moment going to stand in front of you and say that what the UK does should be copied in every respect. And I think anybody from a UK university or indeed government would recognise that there are many things that the UK may have done successfully, but equally things that they've done that we've done unsuccessfully. And I think that this is an area where we can learn very much from one another, whether that's at a government-to-government level, a research funder to research funder level, or between universities, because we have some common problems and each of us can bring particular knowledge and expertise to bear on this. It's striking that research security is now firmly on the European agenda. Last year, the European Council produced a document for recommendations on enhancing research security in Europe. And if you are, as leaders of universities and research institutes, unaware of this document, I strongly suggest that you look at it because it has implications for everyone in this room. It has a series of implications because it shows that research security is being taken very seriously at high levels. It suggests, in fact, this will happen, that terms and conditions for the next framework programme will include a requirement for those applying for grants to demonstrate that they meet a certain minimum threshold requirements for research security. There are other consequences as well. The Commission is pushing forward on a variety of actions, some of which are going to put pressure on member states to start describing the activities that they are undertaking. So, sorry, one other thing before I go forward. There is a significant event coming up in October, which is a Commission-sponsored so-called flagship conference on research security. And if you are not aware of this event, I also strongly suggest that you have a look on the website and consider whether you should be attending, because it is an extremely important networking activity in which many governments and others are going to be represented. So Romania's thinking on these issues is advancing. Earlier this year, this document, Policy Recommendations on Research Security in Romania, was published that has a series of recommendations that currently under consideration in terms of taking them forward. And indeed, Marius, who introduced me, is one of the key authors of that document. So if you want further details on this, I encourage you to speak to Marius. The way that research security is conducted is extremely important because, as we know, international research collaboration is at the heart of science. Co-publication with foreign researchers is a significant measure of scientific merit. And indeed, there are plenty of evidence that co-published publications tend to be of a higher quality and have more research impact than those published by teams from one country alone. Scientific exchange through foreign conferences, through visits to other countries and to hosting visitors are extremely important, as are doctoral students and research staff. Participation in research projects that have foreign funders are important to us all, as are other things, shared use of research infrastructures, sharing data, and indeed holding positions in foreign universities. For this whole enterprise to work, both us as scientists and research funders and government and society as a whole needs to have trust in the integrity of these collaborations. And that is why research security is such an important issue. And to explain what research security is, this has been a subject of considerable activity by the group of 7 countries, and they talk about research security as referring to the broad range of issues and risks associated with international research collaboration. That may be threats from foreign actors, that might be economic espionage, that might be scientific malpractice of a range of different kinds. In different countries, it's called different things. In the UK, we talk about trusted research. In the Netherlands, they talk about knowledge security. In Sweden, they talk about responsible internationalization. And in the Czech Republic, they talk about foreign interference. Whatever the words that are used, at the heart is a concern about integrity of research collaboration, international research collaboration, and putting in place processes and practices to ensure ourselves of that integrity. And it's striking that countries have very similar perceptions of the research securities that they face. First of all, there's on the top, a number of threats posed by the hostile activities of threat actors who may be foreign governments, in some instances, may be organized criminal gangs. Foreign interference with universities and the conduct of research is at the forefront of concerns. Scientific espionage by foreign actors, including through cyber attacks, an extremely important issue, as is concerns about insider threats, not least from foreign students and visitors. But at the same time, there are also a series of threats that are much closer to home maybe for this audience, and they relate to poor risk management practices by research performers or individual researchers. Collaborating with what are called entities of concern. Military organizations in certain other countries, organizations that undermine human rights, that are involved in intelligence gathering or whatever else. Working with, in effect, the wrong people. Poorly structured projects that lead to your foreign collaborators misusing the data in a variety of ways. Critically important violation of export controls and sanctions, and then also unintentional knowledge leakage through scientific visits abroad. You may be wondering so far why this matters, and I think it matters for a number of reasons. Governments are concerned about this for national security reasons and for concerns about economic competitiveness, and indeed also concerns about having trust in international research collaboration. Research funders are concerned because they want to see return on their investment, and they don't want to see leakage in unintended ways. And then we get to the people represented in this room this evening. Universities and research and research institutes are concerned because they recognize that they need to comply with national and international laws, not least around export controls. They are also concerned about their reputation as institutions, because getting a reputation for having poor research management practices in international collaborations can have a host of consequences, not least losing the trust of funders, whether those funders are public funders or industry funders. Universities are also concerned about intellectual property protection. And then when it comes to us as individual academic researchers, then clearly we should be concerned about these issues to ensure that our ideas, our intellectual property, are appropriately recognized and protected, rather than being misused or stolen by others. We should be concerned about academic integrity in all its forms, and we should also be concerned about the consequences for access to funding, because, as I said, the framework program and the next framework program will most certainly be seeking assurances that your institutions have research security policies in place. Industry expects this, and if you seek funding from the United States, the Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, the National Institutes of Health, you will for certain be expected to demonstrate an awareness and practice around these issues. I first met Marius when I was engaged in a study on European research security policies and practices, and this report was published in May. It was funded by the UK government's Science and Technology Network, which is a co-funded activity between our Foreign Office and our Department of Science, Innovation and Technology. And I and colleagues at Manchester were asked by the Science and Technology Network to look at several things. We were asked to examine the views of selected European countries, governments and universities in those countries about research security. We were asked to identify research security policies and practices that were being undertaken. And also, very importantly, we were asked to consider opportunities where the UK could enhance its relationship with other countries and institutions that had similar views to our own. So we looked particularly at universities and public research institutes, and we looked at 7 countries. So we took the 6 largest scientifically active countries in Europe, and on top of which we wanted to look also at Central and Eastern Europe and a country with an Academy of Sciences system, so we chose the Czech Republic. Overall, we undertook around about 85 interviews with policymakers, senior research performers, leaders of research performance organisations and others. And what we found is that the countries that we looked at have very different approaches to research security and are at very different stages of the journey towards addressing these issues. France and the Netherlands are arguably furthest forward. They have the most mature processes. The Czech Republic, and I'll come back to the Czech Republic in a few minutes, has worked very hard in this area, working between government and universities and research institutes to think about these issues and put matters in practice. There are some countries, not least Spain, that are only beginning to think about these issues now, and frankly are only began to think about them when the European Council published its recommendations and when the Spanish government was going to Brussels and having to discuss these matters. I would say that Romania is further forward, certainly than Spain on this, and is probably equivalent to where Italy is. So Italy have developed a range of policies and practices and are now considering how they implement them. So, what do we mean? What do universities and governments do? You see a host of different policies and risk management practices across the countries that we studied. The first thing that countries tend to do is generate forums for dialogue. Almost every country has a committee or a forum where the National Rectors Council, various representatives of government, individual significant universities, academies of science, particular research institutes come together to share experiences and get to understand the concerns of one another and indeed the potential opportunities. The second thing that you see happen is efforts at awareness raising. Awareness raising exists at different levels. You have some countries like the UK that has a government-driven national awareness campaign. You have other countries such as Sweden, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands that have done some national activities, but have also devolved that down to universities to work with one another and to work within their universities to raise awareness amongst scientists about the issues around research security in international research collaboration. You also see the development of a considerable volume of written guidance. So I put a slide up with the Romanian document, and across Europe we have a host of documents. Those documents often go into detailed processes, how to undertake so-called due diligence, to look at the potential foreign funders or foreign collaborators that you may be working at. Documents around the role of senior leaders in the process, and also documents around foreign travel, the benefits and indeed the risks that come of that, and how you deal with export control issues around those matters. And the significant thing for me is that most of those documents have been co-developed. This is not about government writing a document and imposing it on the sector. But we go back to the forums for collaboration that I mentioned at the outset. They are really key in the development of these range of documents. We have some countries, but not all. The Netherlands is one good example that set up government information points to allow universities to raise questions and concerns about potential collaborations. We have a whole host of development of a whole host of risk management processes, and we also have a very important emphasis on capacity building. Across Europe, there are, in universities and research institutes, there are too few people with the knowledge and skills to manage the research security aspect of international research collaboration, starting with export controls, which are an extremely complex area. There are simply too few people. So building capacity in government and in individual universities and laboratories around these issues is something that the countries we looked at are extremely important. And in all of this, we need to emphasize the fact that this should be a shared responsibility. This is not the responsibility of universities alone, in the same way that it is not the responsibility of government alone. We have to work together on this if we're going to be successful in addressing these challenges. So, I mentioned the Czech Republic because I think it's an extremely interesting example. So, research security became an issue in the Czech Republic when Charles University in Prague found that they were under foreign interference, specifically covert funding from the Chinese embassy of certain China research and other activities in the university. And when I talk about reputational issues, this became a major scandal in the Czech Republic. Questions were asked in Parliament. The rector of Charles University was brought in front of parliamentary committees to answer why this had happened. And it also spread beyond the Czech Republic. You can find articles in English in the Financial Times about this. Okay, so this is why this is the starting point for Czech thinking on this. And from that came a number of things. Charles University worked with the Czech government, including security organizations, to develop a manual, a counter-interference manual. Other documents were developed. Finishing last year with the documents on the right, a series of 3 documents that the Czechs call the methodologies documents, one of which puts the case for research security and why it should be a concern of individual scientists and research institutes and universities. Second of which looks at due diligence, how you actually examine who you may be collaborating with or who you may be receiving foreign funding from. And then a third document that looks at a number of other areas around risk management, particularly the roles of senior leaders. And if you look at what the Czechs have done, it kind of reflects the broader efforts that are going on. So critically in the Czech Republic, they established something called the Interdepartmental Working Group for combating illegitimate interference. This brings together a whole variety of different government departments, together with the Security Service, together with the Rectors Conference, and together with leading Czech universities. And this has been absolutely critical in both the writing of a series of documents, but also in getting buy-in so that the issues that were discussed there were then diffused out into individual universities and research institutes. They've engaged in awareness raising, university training, a national website, identifying champions within and between universities who can actually work on these issues with others. They produce written guidance, as I mentioned. They haven't developed a central advice team because they feel that the Czech Republic system is small enough for people to have informal relationships with government. They've certainly engaged in a whole host of risk management activities, particularly training administrative staff in research institutes and universities to actually be able to undertake many of the activities that we've discussed. And capacity building has been very important. Alongside the Swedish government, the Czech government, two governments in the study that we looked at who actually provided seed corn funding to universities and research institutes to develop training and generate greater awareness. I want to talk about the UK experience and to finish up, and some reflections on that. I think if you look at the document that I mentioned earlier on European research security, you will find a whole host of different practices and activities that are going on in Europe. And I want to spend a few minutes just reflecting on what's happened in the UK. Since the UK started down this road arguably earlier than most, so from around 2018, 2019, this came onto the UK policy agenda. And the UK government's approach can be summed up in four bullet points. First thing to say is that the UK has engaged in both legislative and non-legislative activities around this. And I'll talk about some of the legislation as well as the non-legislative activities in a moment. The emphasis of UK government policies has been around targeted and proportionate actions. There was a recognition from the outset by all concerned that if research security was introduced in a top-down and heavy-handed way, it may have a consequence of chilling the whole environment for international research collaboration. It might make international research collaboration appear to be so threatening, or the procedures so complex, that academics work away from working with anybody except within selected European countries, and that wasn't the intention. There has throughout the process also been a strong emphasis on academic autonomy. At no point has the government or any of the other organisations associated with this tried to impose processes on individual universities. So the emphasis of government efforts has been trying to find ways of allowing universities and indeed individual academics make informed choices and decisions for themselves. Also, as I will show you in a moment, with some support from government. And also recognising that our research institutions, who are primarily, but not exclusively universities, are autonomous and highly diverse, and critically are also very diverse in terms of their size and their exposure to international research collaboration. So we see this across Europe and in the UK, that for some universities who have very strong international research profile, in particularly the STEM subjects, this should be at the top of the agenda. As you get to smaller universities that have less international research collaboration, then Certainly still some processes need to take place, but they need to be proportionate to that level of exposure. So the UK government has responded in a number of ways. The first thing that the government did was to launch something called the Trusted Research Campaign. So the Trusted Research Campaign is led by the National Protective Security Authority. So the National Protective Security Authority is part of MI5, so it's our internal security service. So this is not James Bond, it's his slightly duller domestic cousin. And they, together with our cybersecurity agency, launched something called Trusted Research. And Trusted Research is a campaign. It's, on the one hand, is an awareness campaign. So you can go, indeed, when I switch on LinkedIn, I will periodically get LinkedIn messages and materials on Trusted Research. There were efforts to go out to individual universities and to go to our rectors' conference and to actually make people aware of this as an issue. There is a Trusted Research website which I suggest that you all have a look at. And I should say that I've asked for these slides to be circulated, and these slides have hypertext links. So if you hover over Trusted Research, you can then click onto it and you'll get into the Trusted Research website. In that, there is a whole lot of material. There are video case studies of anonymized examples of research security challenges faced by British universities. There is a whole lot of documentation on how to do due diligence, what to think about if you're traveling abroad, if you're a senior leader, what you should be thinking about. And now an additional tool for individual universities to conduct, should they choose, their own audit of their research security activities. The UK also has something called the Research Collaboration Advice Team. And the Research Collaboration Advice Team, RCAT, is a group of 15 or 20 civil servants from the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology, whose job it is to act as an interface between universities and government. So if my university has a particularly complex research collaboration that it may be wishing to develop with a particular country, then a nominated individual within my university can contact RCAT, and RCAT may be able to give advice or can go to the whole of government and seek that advice. And the important word there is advice. RCAT is not telling anybody anything. It's giving advice and guidance that universities can choose to act on, can seek to modify, or can see not to pay any attention to. We have a whole host of export controls. I think that the experience in the UK and across the European countries I looked at is that export controls are problematic, especially for, physical goods, it's relatively straightforward. But when you get into the fact that certain kinds of knowledge, they're going to speak at a conference in a foreign country, if you're speaking on an export control topic covered by export controls, we have more issues. There's something called the Academic Technology Approval Scheme. Before PhD students, master's students and foreign visitors from certain countries can seek a visa, they have to go through ATAS if they are from certain countries and working in certain research areas. There are other things as well. The National Security and Investment Act wasn't deliberately targeted at universities, but does have an implication for university spin-outs. So this is a series of investment screening regulations if foreign funding is going into companies or other institutions with certain key sensitive technologies. Our research funding organisation, UKRI, has responded. It has, and you can also click on the hypertext link and go to Trusted Research and Innovation. It has two things. First of all, it has information for grant applicants about research security, and also during the application process, I and others have to answer certain questions on research security, and the terms and conditions of a grant also have research security issues in it as well. And the other thing which I think is very striking about the UK is the way that universities have responded. So Universities UK is our equivalent of your Rectors Conference. And Universities UK has been absolutely critical in engaging with government on behalf of universities. There has been a very deep and sometimes frank dialogue between universities and government around these whole issues. And again, I suggest that you click on the hypertext link and have a look at their first document on this issue called Managing Risks in Internationalization. Individual universities, I happen to put the University of Manchester's page up because I'm from the University of Manchester and I knew where it was. We have a whole suite of materials available to academics and other researchers around these issues. Within the university itself, we have a series of processes. We have a very clear governance mechanism. Our Vice-Chancellor, Rector, actually called President, for reasons I won't go into, has appointed a senior responsible owner on the topic of research security who is responsible for this topic. There's a committee of senior leaders that meets frequently to examine potential research collaborations and risks. We have a policy on responsible internationalization that you can download. We engage in a whole range of risk management processes, including due diligence processes. We have a research security hub. We're a large university. We have over £1 billion a year turnover, something like 450 million in research revenues. We have more than a dozen people working on export controls and related research security issues. And we've also engaged in a lot of awareness raising, starting with our scientists and engineering faculty, then moving now into life sciences and medicine, making sure that individual academics are aware of these issues, are aware of their legal responsibilities with regard to export controls, and critically are aware that there is a whole team of people who can support them in their international research collaborations. So if I was going to reflect on the UK experience, I would emphasise 4 things. There has been a real effort, both on the part of Universities UK, and government to co-develop policies and practices. It's not always been easy, not always been comfortable, but on both sides there has been a strong intent to do that. And as you go forward, I really hope that you follow that approach. You've got to work together if this is going to work. There's been a real recognition now of the need to strengthen capacity. There are simply too few skilled people in this area in universities and indeed in government itself. There's also a recognition, I think, increasingly that far from conflicting with research management, increasingly research security is actually being seen as the hallmark of strong and responsible practice. It's seen as a positive to be seen to be doing things right, of being sure that you're not working with, for instance, on research that is impacting ethnic minorities in certain countries through surveillance and intelligence activities. And there's also a great belief, I think, that research security is absolutely critical as part of the wider package of issues around research integrity for individual researchers and universities. When you get the slides, you'll see a whole raft of what I hope you will find useful sources of information. We also have established HECA. So this was established as a response of certain research administrators dealing with export controls, who've now established the Higher Education Export Control Association and are engaged in training. So I'm going to finish with turning it over to you. So here are a series of questions. I'm not going to comment on them. I'd like you to reflect honestly on them from the perspective of your institutions. And these questions come from one of those trusted research documents that you can go on to the Trusted Research website and download. And this is the Trusted Research Guidance for senior leaders. So let me just go through these questions. I won't ask you to respond to them, but I would be interested in your responses. Your senior leaders, who in your organisation is responsible for securing your research activities? Is there somebody in the senior leadership? Do you have visibility? Do you know your institution's most important foreign partners or funders, especially those that you are financially or reputationally dependent upon? Do you actually know who's funding your work? Do you have a process for identifying and managing high-risk research collaborations? Would you know a high-risk research collaboration if it crossed your desk? And do you have a process that alerts you as senior leaders when a scientist may be seeking guidance on setting that up? Do you actually have confidence that do you have and your staff clear on when and who they ought to seek advice from if they have issues? Do you actually have confidence that your institution is compliant with export controls in the first instance, and then other requirements like GDPR? And then finally, do you have somebody identified within your organisation whose role it is to actually raise awareness of this agenda? Okay? I'm not going to ask you to answer. If you're now thinking, my answer is no to 3 or 4 or 5 of these, or maybe all of them, then that's something to note and it's something to act upon. But you won't be alone in that, because if you go back even maybe 3 or 4 years in the UK, and frankly today if you were to ask these questions of some senior leaders in some universities, they couldn't actually say yes to all of those either. And that is why the initiative that is being led by Marius and his colleagues around research security practices in Romania, I think, are so very important. So thank you very much indeed for your attention. I'm more than happy to take questions. I'm more than happy for you to contact me. So like everybody else, I have LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy for you to join me. Here's the QR code again for that report, which has a wealth of detail on the practices of the countries that I mentioned. And I shall just do a quick advertisement for the Manchester Institute of Innovation Research, which is the research institute that I'm part of at the university. Thank you very much indeed for your attention.
Thank you for
this very keen insights on research, and I'm sure we're going to reflect all to the questions and eventually answer to them. Now we will carry on because we have internationalization ambassadors here, and as I said, we all are, but we also have guests, and it's my pleasure to welcome our regional director of AUF, je vous en prie, Madame Laure Castin, pour nous adresser quelques paroles. S'il vous plaît. As an international university, we are also part of AUF, the Association of French Universities, and we are very happy that for the third time in the last 12 months we have the director herself here.
In French and English?
Comme vous voulez.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for welcoming me here today. Thank you, Raoul, in particular. And hi to every rector of a Romanian university who are attending this event tonight. I was very interested in the conference of a keynote speaker today because we are going to organize at the IUF during the General Assembly next November in Dakar a moment dedicated to scientific diplomacy. And I think this topic would be of great importance. So thank you for giving me this idea. I will come back to you to speak about that a bit later. Regarding internationalization, because it's very important, and it's a priority of the activities of our agency, AUF, Agence Universitaire de la Francophonie. It's a priority to support internationalization of a university in the network we have around the world, because we have a network of more than 1,100 universities in the countries with French speaking. But what we promote is just not French speaking, it's cultural and linguistic diversity, multilingualism, which is very important today. So I'm very pleased to be here tonight and very grateful to the university to have organized this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. Because our time is very limited, I will invite our colleagues to say a few words about, to introduce themselves to you and to say a few words regarding our anniversary. And I will carry on with His Excellency José Miguel Vilnas, the Consul of Spain in Romania. I know it's a surprise, but you are our good friend. Just a few words.
Just a few words, okay. Well, thank you very much, Raoul. Unexpected, completely unexpected to come up the stage.
Yeah, this is the
Yes, I understand that the lady before me was in the same situation, so just to, happy of this invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here in this university. I've been coming here to your events for long years now. So it's, I'm very happy to see how things move forward and how this university is getting a more important presence in Europe and in the world. I very much follow what you guys are doing, and it's impressive.
Thank you.
So I want to congratulate you, and I'm very happy of seeing this improvement. And I also met one colleague, one Spanish, I don't know where he is. Okay, there he is.
He'll be coming soon here.
Oh, he is coming now, so be prepared. From University of Valencia. So yes, I'm extremely proud, and you know that whenever you need something, you can count on me.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. I will invite the president of South Valley University, our good friend, Professor Youssef Gerbai, not for the first time in Romania, and of course not for the last one. And then we will carry on with the delegation of Kenyan universities.
Buonasera. I introduce myself firstly. I am Yusuf Gharbawi, former president of South Valley University. I'm coming from the land of pyramids and pharaohs, where our ancient civilization illuminated mines and built monument structures and knowledge and science. In behalf of Egyptian delegation, universities take pride in our long-standing partnership with the University of Life Science in Timisoara. This partnership reflects our shared commitment to advising higher education and promoting scientific research in various fields of life. We are excited to continue our collaboration with the University of Life Science, working together to achieve further progress and innovation in the service of science and society. On behalf of all Egyptian universities which are partners with your estimated university through mutual cooperation agreements and Erasmus programs, which I have to take this advantage to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for Erasmus and for Professor Rauf. His Excellency Professor Cosmin Obesco, the magnificent rector for university and his team, and also for everyone who has contributed to the establishment of this magnificent academic institution. And we are celebrating the 80th anniversary. We wish you continued progress and prosperity in your academic and scientific journey. Thank you so much, and I hope to continue our cooperation for more and more events. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. This time we have here 3 universities from Kenya, and the delegate will say a few words on behalf of the delegation.
On behalf of Kenyan delegation, my colleagues Dr. Rita and Dr. Suge want to thank the University of King of Science for the good work. We are honored to celebrate with you the achievement of the 80th anniversary. It's a great honor for what you have done to our country in terms of cooperation. You have touched many people, and our cooperation will build up a good stage for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Among the 100 non-European countries and 240 universities, and of course all the universities of Europe, which places us in second, third place in Romania, and we are very proud of a teamwork achieved. I would like also to invite our friend and colleague and future colleague, Professor Javier from Universidad Politehnica di Valencia, to say a few words, and then we'll carry on with our colleagues from RCS University from Turkey.
Thank you very much. I'm bringing with me the message from UPV Rector Professor Jose Capilla on this 80th anniversary. The most warm congratulations to the University of Timisoara. And in terms of internationalization and international cooperation, I'm glad to announce that we are going to continue working together for the next 3 years. So in January 1st, 2026, we will start our next Erasmus Plus capacity building project together with universities from Dominican Republic, Colombia, Mexico, Italy, Spain, and of course, Timisoara. So this will be the start of an ambitious adventure to develop micro-credentials in English language to be integrated in the Latin American universities' educational programs. This is the future that we have ahead of us. So thank you very much, and really, really appreciate your invitation for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. One of our lasting partners with whom we developed and exchanged more than 60 students and staff, it's Erciyes University from Turkey. Professor Yusuf Konka.
Hi everyone, bună ziua. I am really very happy to be here. I am coming from Cappadocia region in Turkey. Also my university, for Erciyes University, is ranking in the 10 in the Turkey. We have very good collaboration with this university. Also we are happy that collaboration. Also many exchange for students and for teachers. I hope next time we will improve this collaboration on research and for other facilities. Thank you again for you. I congratulate your 80 years anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. From years we have been cooperating with our partners and colleagues from Hungary, so I invite the Hungarian delegation, Professor Karoli Bodnar and Professor Jani Peter, if you want to say a few words.
Dear professors, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Hungarian University of Agriculture and Life Sciences, I would like to congratulations on this 80-year anniversary. And I would like to say thanks for our long cooperation. I would like to give to Mr. Rector.
Yes, I will give it. I will give to him. Thank you.
A photo album on our arboretum. It's a symbol because somebody planted for ages, and this is was made by your colleagues also 8 years ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Our colleagues, Professor Makra Laszlo and Professor Jani Peter, very long and lasting cooperation.
Good evening, everybody. I'm László Makra from Hódmezővásárhely, Hungary, only 120 kilometers. On behalf of the University of Szeged, Faculty of Agriculture, we warmly welcome you at this beautiful anniversary. There is a long-lasting relationship between the two institutions. We regularly organize joint international conferences, regularly publish joint papers in highly impacted international journals, organize international projects jointly, and as regards education, we train students. We wish you, on this beautiful occasion, we wish you success, happiness, long life in health, and we wish you go further on this beautiful path to the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to give the floor now to our colleague from Poland, our dear friend Piotr Prus, and we will carry on with Ionel Subic from Economic Agrarian Institute from Belgrade, if he managed to arrive.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Piotr Prus and I'm from Poland, from Bydgoszcz University of Science and Technology. I'm very proud and honored to be here. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me. It was a very big surprise when I received that invitation. I already had another plans, but I had to change. Why? Because if friends are inviting you to celebrate 80 years anniversary, you have to change the plans. I changed the plans and I'm here. And I'm very happy to be here because we have been cooperating for several years, and for me this is very important university, and here are very important friends of mine. We are cooperating, and this is real cooperation. We've already published several papers in very good impacted journals. We co-edited 2 special issues in good journals, and we have another plans for cooperation, so I do hope that we will still continue our cooperation, and thank you very much for the invitation. As I told you, it's a big honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm inviting and I give the floor to Dr. Ionel Subic from the Institute of Economic Agrarian from Belgrade. Welcome.
Bună ziua tuturor!
Bună ziua!
În primul rând doresc să îmi cer scuze invitațiilor din celelalte țări și universități. Având în vedere că sunt român din Serbia, prefer să mă adresez dumneavoastră în limba română. Scurt, doresc să mulțumesc domnului rector Popescu pentru invitație. Suntem foarte onorați că suntem astăzi alături de dumneavoastră și din partea tuturor angajaților la Institutul de Economie Agrară din Belgrad, vă doresc o aniversare foarte reușită și mulți ani înainte.
Mulțumim!
Având în vedere că colaborarea noastră a început acum mai mult de 20 de ani, datorită, în primul rând, de domnului academician Otiman Paun și, bineînțeles, domnului profesor Tabără, iar în ultimii 10 ani, prin proiecte transfrontaliere, proiecte Erasmus, am continuat colaborarea, sperăm că o să vină și proiecte Orizont, dar având în vedere că Institutul este o instituție mică, dar are prieteni mari și mulți prieteni în Serbia. Prin acest fapt vă transmitem salutări din partea colegilor de la Academia de Științe și Arte din Serbia, în primul rând Departamentul pentru SAT și, în ultimul rând, mulțumim și din partea Academiei pentru Științe Inginerești. Mulțumim încă o dată pentru invitație și ne dorim în continuare să avem o colaborare reușită, de prietenie sinceră și fructoasă.
Mulțumim! Now I would like to give the floor to Sokolovic Mariana from Poultry Science Institute from Zagreb, Croatia.
Introduced me, so I would like to thank you for this kind invitation. I'm very amazed with all what you have done here with your town, with your cooperation with us, and after several years of trial, we also have an active cooperation of European projects with members of your faculty, and I saw your strength and your power, and I wish you all the best and success in future work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last but not least, if it's here, Vladislava Galovic from Novi Sad. And then in the last minutes, we will have a short presentation of the internationalization in our university. We will pass through it because our time has come to a limit. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you. I am very honored and very pleased that I'm here with you. I'm coming from the Institute of Lowland Forestry and Environment from Novi Sad, University of Novi Sad. And I'm really happy that we start collaboration recently with the Erasmus Plus program, and I think that we will, and it was very fruitful, and I think that we will continue with this, and I see how many cooperations very nice you have here and how you are progressing and you are growing. So I'm very happy for you, and I'm really wishing you all the best in your endeavors future.
Thank you.
And congratulations for your 80th anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marianne, if you can put the presentation. Just a very short overview on our activities in internationalization. These are our priorities. As I said, we are an international university, and we do prioritize especially joint programs, either on PhD, master, or bachelor levels, but also publication of research articles, collaboration in capacity building projects, fostering, of course, global competencies, strategic partnership for innovation, and, of course, through all this, entering international rankings. From this year on, we are trying to create networks of institutes of research specialized for each field of the 6 faculties. These are our countries financed, more or less, 100 non-European countries, more than 240 universities from all over the world, and of course all the countries in Europe, and also companies, research institutes, and NGOs. Some of the glimpses of our cooperation, signing MOUs, outgoing and incoming staff mobility. The number increased in the last 5-7 years. Also for the staff, also for the student, you can see the joy on the faces of the participants. So I think the Erasmus family one of important pillar in the internationalization strategy, it's very active. We started to create events in 2018, 2019, Green International Erasmus plus Summer Week, going through towards sustainability, and you can recognize some faces and all the joy of all the participants. Then we targeted the sustainability aspect, and we will carry on. Every year in May, we develop a Sustainable Erasmus Plus Staff Week, which gathers more than 20 countries, 35 European, non-European countries, targeting the sustainability in higher education, workshops, and also discussion on international partnerships. Then we also have international cooperation weeks, either in July or November. And it led to what our colleague Javier said, to capacity building one project and to other types of Erasmus projects, especially Key Action 2 projects. We are also beginning to be active on AUF, and we had here a gathering, as you will see, of young leaders, and also we had the opportunity to have the president of the AUF, Professor Sorin Câmpianu. Different events, different pictures, joy everywhere. The cooperation staff week, the AUF meeting in November last year, together with the director and other representatives from other universities. We are part of the international office, so that's why we attend international education fairs. And in fact, in this room, I can see colleagues that last week we were in Sweden at EAIE, the biggest educational fair in Europe. And it's how we gather the partners and how we manage to cooperate. These are different pictures, and then is NAFSA, the biggest educational fair in the world. And we were present disseminating our Sustainable Horizon project. Toulouse 2024, Göteborg 2025, with I think 37 universities from Romania were present last week in Göteborg. And we also met our partners from the Horizon. One of the 12 projects won in 2022 in Europe, that we are very proud of it, and which its output is a PhD in sustainability, for the moment the only one in Europe, and we'll try to get the finance. These are our partners, and we all started from Erasmus. We started from Erasmus Mobility in 2018, and then we managed to reach to a successful project, and also associated partners, some of them present here. Our regional event closing, it was in Timișoara, but also in Santiago with our partners. As I said, we are ambassadors, all of us, either that we are professors of administrative staff, and this is how we build our relationship and strengthen the cooperation, developing also Erasmus mobilities, either for training or for teaching, either in European countries or in non-European countries. All these actions led to the creation in May of the International Cooperation Hub on Sustainability and Life Sciences Europe, Asia, Africa, Americas, and there is a hyphen waiting for AUF to be part of it. This hub intends to foster global partnership in sustainability and life sciences by connecting all universities across the world and having a basis of universities in order to apply for successful projects. And our results, and we won at our Excellency Gala the prize for Erasmus projects. You can see more or less the funding. This year we won 1.5 million euros in Erasmus projects, and we overtaken 700 mobilities so far, and we will carry on, of course. That was it, very quickly, but time is limited, and before closing, I would like to thank you for your patience, for your presence here, and for your interest in supporting internationalization and all the actions that we undertake. Thank you so much, and have a nice, pleasant evening. On behalf of the board of our university or the organization committee of these activities, we would like to invite our guests for dinner at Hotel Timișoara. Thank you so much.